Welcome to the Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of Nussbaum Transportation, where we explore key issues and compelling stories in the trucking industry. I'm your host, Sage Anderson, and you're listening to episode 93, Just Do Something, Erik Lewis winning at weight loss. No pills, no subscription, no diet plan, just one man sick and tired of being sick and tired. Erik Lewis woke up one day, walked a mile, and 9 months later, 80 pounds lighter, the rest is history. Check it out on this featured exchange. Well, welcome, Erik.
Thank you.
My first question is kind of a big one, but who is Erik Lewis? How would you describe yourself and who you are?
I don't know. It's way too early for that kind of question.
I mean, you could say maybe you want to identify yourself as a driver or as a...
No, I wouldn't describe myself as a driver. I'd just describe myself as just somebody who's trying to make it through life like everybody else. I have things that I love. I have a lot of things that I don't like.
Sure.
But, I'm a father. I have 2 kids. One's 20, one's 10. So most of my time goes to seeing them as often as I can. Yeah.
Okay.
That's about it.
Awesome. And where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Virginia. So I'm originally from Fairfax, Virginia. Both of my parents were Marines. Okay. So my mother was military police, and my father was infantry. So he was gone a lot.
Did they meet in the as Marines?
I believe so. Yeah, because my mother's from Washington State, and my father's from Peoria, Illinois. So
sure.
I'm assuming that's where they met. But yeah, so I lived in Virginia. I lived in North Carolina, and then when my dad finally got out, we came back to Illinois. So I've been in Illinois for the majority of the time, except for when I was stationed in Georgia. So.
Okay. So did you also join the Marines?
Yeah, but I disappointed them. I was in the Army.
Oh, okay.
So I was a big disappointment. But yeah, so I was in Fort Stewart, Georgia for a while, and then I came back to Illinois and started working and
sure.
had my first kid when we came back.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
So I'm kind of from all over.
Yeah. What did you have a specific role in the Army?
I was infantry.
Infantry. Okay.
Yeah. I was around mechanized. I was around the Bradleys.
Okay.
So a lot of time spent at the motor pool, changing out tracks and stuff like that. And even though we were attached to them, when we would do training and stuff, we didn't really ride in them every once in a while. But most of the time we were just humping it. We're just walking. So
okay.
But yeah.
And were you deployed anywhere?
No, I was in during 9/11, but I was getting out 6 months before we started the invasion of Iraq. So
okay.
I didn't deploy. I thought about going back in, but then my son was on the way, so I was like, nah, better.
Sure.
As much as I would love to, I wanted to see my kids. So
do you have 2 boys or one?
I have 2 boys. Yeah.
Okay.
2 boys.
And what are their names, if you don't mind?
My oldest is Dryden Nathaniel, and my youngest is Rowan Alexander.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are some cool names.
Yeah. Well, I named my oldest son.
Okay.
So I picked out his
You said
name.
Ryder?
My oldest is Dryden.
Dryden.
Yeah, Dryden.
Okay.
Nathaniel. And then my youngest son, me and his mom collaborated. She came up with most of the names. Most of them I was like, no. She wanted to name him Seamus at one point. And I was like, that's not going to happen. No way. So we decided, I was like, okay, Rowan I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and actually their names kind of match, first name and then long middle name. So they're kind of.
Yeah. Do they have a meaning behind, I've looking up names, and names mean all sorts of different stuff.
I think we try to find a meaning for Dryden. I don't even know where I came up with the name, to be honest with you, but I think it came from Braden. Me and some friends were hanging around. This girl was like, hey, how about Braden? I was like, no, I don't like that. And then I think I was driving back and I was like, just going over, and I was like, Dryden. Come to find out that there's people actually named Dryden. It's just not spelled how we spell it, but I kind of came up with it just out of nowhere, and I liked it, and then his mom liked it, so.
Yeah.
So, but it does have like a Scottish or Irish background or something like that.
Sure.
The real name Dryden.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Rowan is, I think, Irish or Celt or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even though he's not Irish. My oldest one has some Irish in him on his mom's side, but my youngest is like, his mom's Mexican Indian, so he's like half me and then half like Mexican Indian or whatever.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
We went to an Irish restaurant recently, and Joe, my husband, loves cheese curds, and so the menu said Irish cheese curds, and I was like, what makes them Irish? So I asked the waitress, and she's like, well, you're in an Irish restaurant, so they're Irish cheese curds.
Oh, wow. I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
About, Scotch eggs? Or Scottish eggs? Mm-hmm. Scotch eggs, I think they're called.
Yeah.
They're fantastic, and I think those are like legit Scotch or Scottish or Irish or something like that, but
yeah,
they're pretty good.
Awesome. So how long have you been here at New Spawn?
I think this is 8 years now, over 8 years, something like that. I think I just celebrated 8 years.
Yeah.
Like last November.
And what did you do before that besides the Army?
Well, I did a lot of things actually. I started working when I was like 14, 15, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Doing all jobs, and then.
What was your first job you remember?
Ooh.
Like a paper boy? Is that like
no? I helped my friend with the paper route, but I never had my own paper route.
Sure.
But I would stay at his house, and then in the morning we'd do his paper route, and I just hated getting up that early. I can't remember the exact first one. I mowed a lot of grass for companies in the area, but then I also worked at this tire place once, and I'm not sure which came first.
Sure.
But the tire place was like 2 days. It was like a weekend, and I was like hauling heavy tires, when I was 14 or something. But then I did mow like a lot of lawns for companies, so I'm not sure which one I did first.
Okay.
But I've worked at McDonald's. I used to work for people with developmental disabilities.
Okay.
Downtown Peoria, and then even a place out in Morton. I worked there for a while.
And so, how did you end up here?
So I was working at SC2, this place in East Peoria, and I was working at Walmart as a second job, and I decided I was going to go to college. I was going to college, ICC over there, just doing like basic, and I was like, I might as well just go. And I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to fly planes. So I went down to Quincy University down in Quincy, Illinois, and quit my job. Tried to stay on at Walmart so I'd have a job down there, but that didn't work out. So I went down to college, did 4 years of college to fly planes. Didn't work out exactly. So I kind of was like in a panic because I was around the time that my second son was on the way.
So were you actually in the air flying planes at one point?
Yeah. I had a private pilot, IFR rated, working on my commercial.
Neat.
And I was about to do my multi-engine as well. But yeah, it was around the time where some things were put in for pilots that kind of limited them, like when you come out of school. So it kind of hindered me at the time. I didn't come from a wealthy family, so I had everything I was doing on my own. But anyway, so I was kind of like, I need money. So I went to work for my buddy who used to climb towers for cell phones. And absolutely hated that. And so then I don't know, I Googled something about truck driving, and I thought it was going to be a local thing. And I ended up working for I did that for a year and a half. And then, oddly enough, some New Spawn guy pulled in behind me at the fuel island over at 149. They're on 74. And he's like, hey, you like that job? And I was like, no, not even a little.
Yeah.
He's like, man, we're hiring. And that's how I got here. Do
you remember who it is to this day, or?
Tien.
Oh.
Talk to Tien.
Okay, but the driver.
No, I don't remember the driver. He wasn't around for very long after that. I think he was already on his way out.
Sure.
But I think he did a dedicated run or something like that. So I don't remember him.
Okay.
But that day, like, he's like, hey, he called Tien up, and I talked to Tien like that day in the fuel lane. So, yeah. And then, like, I think like a little over 2 weeks I was here. So I put my 2 weeks in. And,
I worked in recruiting for a stint, and one driver, I forget who it was, but he came in and he handed me a like coffee stained Post-it note card or something like that he had in his truck for I don't know how long. And he gave it to me, and I ended up calling the number, and I told the person, I was like, you're just this kind of note on this like old coffee stained like, and I forget who it was, but they got hired and they worked here, and it was just really neat because it was just this like paper that had been sitting and just like old and decrepit, and yeah, it ended up working out. So
that's cool.
But so why driving? Was it in the beginning just a way to earn like a good income?
It was only a way to make money quickly.
Okay.
Quincy, there's not a whole lot to do there in Quincy, unless you want to work for a factory, or I think like Napa Hyatt is there or something like that.
Sure.
Or, retail or something like that. And I was absolutely sick of retail. I did Walmart. I did Kmart there as a part-time, and that didn't go very well. So I was just like, there was nothing there, and I was like, I got one kid because he lived in Peoria, so it was already a pain in the butt to see him. It takes a lot of money to drive up there, whatever. And then I had another kid on the way, and I was like, okay, something's got to give. And so I heard that trucking was decent money, and I was like, yeah, how hard can that be? So I was like, whatever, I'll sign up. And then ended up being gone for like 30 days at a time. Not what I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Okay.
So as soon as I could leave that company, I left that company.
Sure.
Basically.
Yep. And so have you enjoyed it here so far? I mean, 8 years.
I have dreaded every day of it. No. Okay. No, it's way better than, I don't have a lot of experience to go on,
Sure.
so I can't really compare it to like a bunch of other companies, but you talk to a lot of people sometimes, and it seems like every other company is just awful, just dreadful, especially the bigger they are. It seems like the worse they are. So I've had no real reason to leave.
Okay.
Unless,
8 years speaks pretty loudly.
Unless somebody's like, hey, you can come fly for me, then that might be different. Sure. But yeah, aside from that, which, but yeah.
The shop has joked about starting an Air Force, or like I forget what they call it, but yeah, like News Bomb airplanes. It won't happen. But, no. But
yeah, they're pricey, and they're very strange to work on. They're very strange. Yeah. I remember I came out one time to a Cessna. We had an old Cessna from like the 70s that had like the ashtray things in the doors and stuff, real old. And I came out one time to fly, and I was doing pre-trip, and there's this fuel just leaking from the wing, because all the fuel is in the wings. Oh. And there was just leaking. I was like, oh boy. So I went over. He's like, yeah, it just swelled in the heat. He's like, you're fine. They drained some out. And I was like, he's like, you still want to fly? And I was like, yeah, of course I want to fly, dude. What are you talking about? So yeah, I took it up, and it was no problem. But it's just weird when you see stuff like that. Or like when you see the engine, and there's like just 3 bars holding your engine to the fuselage. Just 3 little struts. That's it. And you're like, I don't know. Because you fly. I think I've gone up 9,000 feet in those things. Okay. And they can top out at like 10.5. So
yeah.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
I believe Bill Wetstein's one of his sons is getting his pilot license right now, and so I think a way that because it's expensive, he'll ask if a friend or two wants to go with him, and then they can kind of help cover the cost that day of like wherever they're flying. But
airplane fuel is pricey.
Yeah,
it's probably, I don't know what it is now, but it was pretty pricey back then, and that was 2008 when I went to college.
Yeah.
So
well, I'd love to get into one of the neat reasons why you're here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially you've lost, is it 80 pounds in the past year or so?
80 to 100 in the past 9 months.
Okay.
9-10 months.
So just curious, like, for anyone, like, with your weight gain, like that was a lot of weight that you had to lose. Like, do you feel like maybe it was like a few years' time that you just packed on this weight, or like,
oh yeah,
how does the downward spiral start?
Absolutely. Well, so for me, I think it started, I don't know if they call it like sympathy weight gain or whatever, but every time I've gained weight, every single time that I've gained weight, it's when I've had a child on the way. So when my first child was on the way, I gained weight. It wasn't as significant as it was this time, it wasn't horrible, but it was bad enough. And it took me a couple years to finally lose it or whatever.
You call it sympathy?
I think they do when your woman is pregnant. You gain weight with her, and I think they call it like sympathy weight or sympathy weight gain or something like that. I don't know if that's exactly what I had, but every single time I've had a child, it's gained weight. And so when my youngest son was born, I gained weight, And then I almost immediately went into trucking. Sure. And for me, structure is, I need structure and I need a routine. And I can get into, a really good rhythm and I can, knock stuff out. Trucking, you don't have any of that. And I think it took me a long time to wrap my head around how to maneuver through that. But, you're sedimentary, you don't do much, and you just gain weight. And then I had COVID. I ended up in the hospital for like 5 days. I couldn't eat for... I almost ate almost nothing for over a week. So I did lose some weight then. But then when I got out, I was like, okay. And then I think I put on weight a little bit more rapid because I was like, okay, I can finally eat again. And so I was just eating. Yeah. And so it is a slow burn. It is a slow spiral.
Yeah.
And, you can make it worse if you don't pay attention to it, I guess. But yeah, it is a slow progression. Yeah. Unless you can stop it, which is difficult when you're, in a trucking position, when you're driving.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm actually expecting it. And so I can understand what you're talking about. Like, I would like Joe to keep gaining weight because it makes me feel more better. So I'm like, sure, you could stop at Culver's, you could get pizza, like that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, it's just for your first child, it's just kind of daunting to keep stepping on the scale and being like, I've never been at this number. Is it me or is it like, so yeah, that makes sense that the man would also be.
And for me, like, I never really wanted to have kids because I was terrified of them. Absolutely scared and terrified of children. It was just, you're responsible for somebody else's life, Yeah. And they're so small and fragile at that time. And I was like, no, I can't do it. But once it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
And then I think I just had a lot of nerves and anxiety about it.
Sure.
First time I held my son, like, I didn't even move or breathe. I was just like, just holding this little guy. And I was like, okay, you got to take him because I didn't want to drop him, hurt, whatever, Yeah. So there's a lot of stress and anxiety. And I think that might have, played a part as well,
Sure.
But yeah, it is daunting. It is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you get out of the downward spiral of weight gain then? Like, how did you?
I think 90% of it is mental. Okay. Maybe even more than that is mental. It gets to a breaking point. Like for me, I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and it's been building up, and then, finally you just do something. Just get out and do something. And I remember I was up there at Shanahan in our drop yard up there, and I was in the gravel parking lot. I was attached to a loaded trailer, and it was at the end of my shift. I was like 7 o'clock at night, and I was just sitting there thinking, just like, I'm tired of the way I look, tired of the way I feel. I'm always hurting. I'm always in pain. So I was just like, just do something. So I got up and I walked a mile, around the whole building. And fun fact, there's actually a really good trail behind that facility.
Okay.
So like the main road that you come on before you turn left into that road, when you go across that bridge, right there at that bridge, there's a trail.
Okay.
So there's a good walking trail right there. So if you're ever in Shanahan, there's a great trail. It goes on for miles. I've done 6 miles. So yeah. So it's excellent. So now it's like I try to find these places where I can go, like,
yeah.
But yeah, so I found that, and that's just awesome. Like I'll do that trail now every time I can. But yeah, it's, you gotta do something. Get out and do something. And that was my attitude. I just kept repeating in my head, do something. And so I did.
Okay. So you did the first mile, and then after that, did you ever like write anything down? Like, okay, I'm going to write down these goals, or I'm going to set this plan up. It was just.
No, I didn't set no goals, no plan, no scale, no pills, nothing. It was get your butt up and do stuff. Get out and do something. But tomorrow you have to do the same thing. You walk a mile today, tomorrow you have to walk a mile. The day after that, you have to walk a mile. Whatever you do, you have to maintain it. So, and it's something, I used to work out a long time ago. I used to be a gym rat. So it's nothing new to me. So it's not like I've never worked out and it's all, kind of brand new. I had a kind of an idea. I don't like writing stuff down unless it's an actual workout routine that I'm trying to remember. But like working out, setting out goals and stuff like that, I've never done that because to me, I don't feel that it's helpful or beneficial.
Sure.
But in your mind, you can say, okay, you do 10 push-ups today, you have to do 10 push-ups tomorrow. You never go backwards. You always maintain or go forward. And so that's what I stick with. That's what I do. So whatever I do, I try to maintain.
Okay.
But also you have to have rest. So I don't work out like 7 days a week. I'll do 6 days a week.
Okay.
You know?
So on that 7th day, you're not even walking a mile or anything like that. You're just, I mean, I guess that's not really working out. It's just.
Yeah. Well, I used to, because a mile isn't really a whole lot. When you're first starting out, it's a lot. But then, you know, you do a mile, you do 2 miles, you do 3 miles, you do 4 miles. And then you're working out all the time. Your body needs that rest. Your body has to get some kind of rest. So it's always good to have like a rest day.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, I'll just walk a mile because, you know,
Sure.
7 days a week, it's okay. Get out. And even now, like I'll get out of the truck because I'm gone every 2 weeks. So I always have a reset out in the world somewhere. So I'll still get out and just kind of walk around, you know, nothing. Like I'm not trying to hit miles, you know, I'll just kind of just get out and do something, clear your head.
Yeah.
But mostly I do like Saturdays is usually my rest day. And then Sundays I'll get out and hit like 10 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's running or biking or?
No, just 10 miles straight up hiking.
Hiking. Okay.
Yeah, 10 miles straight up hiking. I do run now. I wasn't at the beginning, or the very beginning I wasn't. And then I tried to incorporate running. I was in Iowa off 380, and I found a Casey's. And I was like, I'm going to walk through town. I'm going to take this back road. And I went to this back road, and all of a sudden there's like a freaking bike trail back there, a bike and a walking trail, just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's sweet. So I hit this trail, and like there's telephone poles. So I'd like walk 2 pole lengths, then I'd run 2 pole lengths, then I'd walk 2 pole, and I did that for like 2 miles.
Okay.
And like just to try to build up some running, because I used to run every day, 6 days a week, like 5 miles a day back in the day.
Yeah.
When I was in college, before college and all that stuff. But it's a little different now. But yeah, so like sometimes if I don't have time, I'll just walk half a mile, run 2 miles, and then finish with a half-mile walk, and that'll be my thing for the day.
Yeah.
Or if I can do 6 miles, I'll do that. Like last night, I was able to do 6 miles. Yeah.
What if it's raining or storming?
I've walked out in rain. I've walked out in storms. I was just down in Texas, and I did 10 miles out there, and it got soaking wet. So.
Okay.
If you want it, you want it. You know.
Sure.
A little rain is not gonna hurt you. You're not gonna melt. So.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay. The only thing I would say is, you know, prepare for the weather. Like if it's really sunny out, you know, sunscreen, all that stuff. I was in Iowa doing 10 miles one day, and like temperature got up to 86 degrees, all sun, no clouds, and I was like, oh, this is gonna hurt.
Yeah.
But I you know, I had sunglasses and a hat on, so I was not ill prepared, but
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of like support group or other people that are doing the same thing with you?
No.
Okay.
No, it's for me, you have to kind of do it for yourself.
Sure.
I mean, a support group would probably help, but I'm just not that kind of person.
Sure.
I just kind of like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So I just kind of do it, no matter, you know, what everybody else says or whatever. But, you know, family and friends are always supportive, you know, so it's not a big deal. But I don't have like little groups I go in and chat with, stuff like that. No, I just kind of do my own thing and just try to stay mentally focused, I guess.
Sure.
Because there's going to be hard days and, you know.
Yeah. Is there anything that you, like, it's kind of an odd question, but like miss about that time, like when you just weren't exercising or eating whatever you wanted? Like, do you have
I mean, yeah, I love food. I absolutely love food. You know, a nice thick cheeseburger. Like I haven't had a cheeseburger in I don't know how long. It's been a long time.
Okay. So is that something like you're just being strict on now? Like just no?
Yeah. Well, yeah. When I first started, you know, you walk and then you're like, okay, well, you got to do something else besides walk. If you walk and eat, you know, drink 5 sodas a day and a burgers, it's not really doing a whole lot for you. So you got to do other things besides, like, that's a good first step. Get out and move, get out and walk. That's a good first step. But also, you know, limit your diet. So I cut like as much sugar as I possibly can out. So like no soda.
What are you drinking in there?
This is Crystal Light lemonade.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 5 calories or something. 10 calories. Yeah. but yeah, I cut as much as I can. Like I don't really eat bread. Now my youngest son loves pizza, so we'll still go out and we'll have pizza. I might have like a couple slices.
Sure.
But you can't, if you be too strict, I don't think it's good for you in the long run. Mm-hmm. So I think, having those little things here and there kind of, is good for your brain. I think it's good for your soul. Nice pepperoni pizza, like,
Yep.
But yeah, aside from that, like when I'm at work, like I don't have none of that. So I cut all this stuff as much as possible. So.
Are you meal prepping like on the weekends, or how? What are you eating?
No. I wish I could do meal prep. I don't have the time. It's like it's hard to find the time. I don't even know what I do really. I mean, I eat a lot of avocados. So I'll just have like chicken and guacamole. I'll make my own guacamole and just have chicken, just dip my chicken in guacamole or something like that. Pork, some beef, but it's mostly like beef with a bunch of onions and peppers.
Okay.
So it's not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really eat cheese. I do, eat some fruits and stuff like that now, some yogurts sometimes, but it's not super, super strict, but I am strict. Like no snacks, no potato chips, no soda, no orange juice even, like just cut like a bunch of stuff out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have how do you fix your sweet tooth? Is it like fruit or like, is there something?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just try to not think about it really. I mean, I'll grab like some almonds and stuff and eat some almonds. But yeah, I just really just kind of just try to keep it out of your head, because it can be so easy to just go grab, Snickers or whatever, you got to stop at a Love's to get gas anyway. I usually go in there and grab like a lime, like a sparkling water with lime or something. But, it's so easy. Everything's like right there. And I think that was a pitfall from before. It's like, you can eat whatever you want, You're not doing anything, so who cares? But if you walk around, if you grab like 2 20-pound dumbbells and walk around with it, and how exhausting you are just walking around with 2 20-pound dumbbells, imagine that extra weight on your body. Ooh. And that's what your body is carrying around. That extra weight, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. Just grab that barbell and walk around with it. And that's what your body is enduring. So your knees, your heart, like your whole body. So when you look at that snacks and you're like, that's just going to equal pounds later. And you're just going to equal pain later because pounds equals pain. So I always try to get that in my head. Just, it's not good for you. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of works.
Yeah.
For me anyway.
No, that is smart. I mean, if you lost 80 pounds, that was 40 pounds of dumbbells on each side.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
What is the biggest health benefits you've seen from this time?
Biggest health benefit? Well, so I guess the biggest one, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
Okay.
Pre-COVID years, so 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And it was a really huge deal for me because I OCD about things. So any kind of mole I have on my skin, I have to get rid of it. Skin tags, they have to be gone. I can't have them. So that was a real big hit for me, psychologically. And that might have caused me to go add a couple more pounds. But it was a really big deal for me. And it was really hard for me to use it. I am a light sleeper already, and I toss and turn, and then having this thing on your face. So it was the most beneficial would be beating sleep apnea.
Okay, so, you can actually beat it. If you.
Well, I don't know if they'll tell you can, but because I remember when I first diagnosed, I was like, well, if I lose the weight, will it go away? They're like, we don't know. And then they were like, well, you were a light sleeper since you were a kid. You might have had this since you were a kid. And I was like, well, that's not possible because if you say it's as bad as you say it is, how could I still be alive if I had it when I was a kid? So I don't know. But but yeah, I went to my last DOT physical a couple months ago, and I brought him the scorecard, and there was a very steady decline for me using it. And he's like, what's the deal? And I was like, I can't use it no more. I was like, I can't even fall asleep with it on my face anymore. And a couple months ago, I'd wake up and have to take it off because I couldn't breathe with it on. He's like, well, maybe you don't have it no more. And I was like, is that possible? And he's like, sure. And I was like, okay. He's like, I'll give you a 30-day, and why don't you get a sleep test done? And so I worked with Cole. Well, Cole called me and he was like, hey, you know, I heard what's going on. Let's get a sleep test. Went and took the sleep test, and the nurse came in. She's like, I don't know if I should tell you this, but yeah, it looks like your numbers are all normal. It's like, I don't see this very often, but you beat sleep apnea. And then I almost didn't go back to sleep after that. I was so stoked, but
So you have to like sleep and be observed, like they kind of wire you up or something?
Yeah,
or?
they put an absurd amount of wires on you.
How do you even it's comfortable?
You're not. You're really not. And like I said, I toss and turn a lot when I sleep. And so you have these wires on and you're trying to get comfortable and you're like just slowly trying to move so you don't like rip anything, because I'll have to come in and reattach everything. Yeah, and they put these like little sticky, so they'll put this goo on you and then they stick the thing on there, then they attach the wires and it goes to a box. Then they have like things that record you when you're sleeping. Yeah, it's very strange. It's a very strange experience. But yeah.
Wow.
So that was probably the biggest benefit would be beating that completely. Because not having that, and I have to worry about recording, because it records you and you got to take it in every year. So I got a 2-year physical now, back to 2 years instead of the 1 year because of sleep apnea. And then you just feel better. You have more energy. You don't feel tired and drained all the time, unless you're really working out. Then you'll feel it later. But you know, the main benefits, you just feel better. You look better. You know.
Yeah. What about like your attitude too? I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's just more confident of a person, or just more grateful, or
yeah, you could be. I don't know. I was always a skinny person until trucking, really. Until I did trucking, and then I just put it off, and you kind of revert back to how you used to be. Like, you feel yourself again. And I was always kind of confident. Some people say I was arrogant back in the day. Maybe, who knows? But you know, you kind of revert back to that. You start feeling like yourself again. Like, I didn't feel like I was even a person at that weight. You know, you don't feel like you're a human being. Okay. You know, well, at least for me, I didn't. I just felt like an amorphous blob that's just kind of strutting through life. You know? But yeah, so you start feeling better. You start feeling like yourself again, and you do have a confidence that's might have been lacking, that might have been dormant for a long time. Yeah. And it's good. It's good to feel that way again. You know, it's good to kind of like break that shell. You know. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I feel very encouraged because I've been walking in the morning, so the past few days. And
very good. Yeah. And you know, it clears your head. It does, and you can think about stuff. Yeah. You know, and you can kind of relax, like, especially like here behind the shop, you know, the water and all that is like very relaxing.
But you get honked at too, so every once in a while, because I think people are like, I want to work for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nobody ever honked at me.
Yep. Wow. So do you have any goals that you're still, I mean, I know you're not writing them down, but mental. So in the back, I mean, the only real goal is I want to get back to the weight that I usually am, which is like 160. Wow. I'm like 180 something right now. Okay. So I'd like to get back down to that, you know. Yeah. Lose the extra. I was, like I said, I was really, really tiny, but 165 if I'm really working out, you know, putting on muscle, but my main goal is not to bulk up like I was back then. It's basically just to slim down, get it lean, and maintain that. Yeah. Try not to slip back into things before. So that's my main goal. But aside from like by January, I want to have that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do stuff like that. You're not trying to run a half marathon or. I never want to. I hate running. Honestly, I've never liked running. I've never been good at running. I just made myself run, and especially in the infantry, you have to run. So, it's not the most fun for me, but I do it. So running a marathon is never. Yeah. No, but you know, I like to go hiking in the woods and stuff, and I've always enjoyed that. And I think for the long time I set a bad example for my youngest son. So now being able to get out into the woods with him and take him hiking and stuff has been really enjoyable. Okay. We was doing that before winter really kicked in. Yeah. And now it's getting warm again. We can go back out and do stuff like that. And he loves swimming, and I love swimming. So we'd like to do some scuba diving stuff maybe. There's a couple lakes in Illinois that are
kind of like man-made lakes. Like I think Southern Illinois has one. It's like used to be a pit or something. They filled it with water, so now you can scuba dive down there.
Wow.
So I'd like to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to scuba dive.
Wow.
So.
Do you have a favorite spot that you go hiking, like around here? Or?
No. So down in Quincy, there's a place called Siloam Springs. It's got some good trails.
Okay.
And I got a DSLR camera, so my youngest, like, it keeps him entertained. Like we can walk, and then he can take pictures of stuff. So we'll do that. I'll take my camera out. We'll just kind of hike. It's not trying to do anything hardcore. You know, just get out and enjoying. You know, just being out there and walking and stuff.
Wow. Neat. So, what would you tell someone that's trying to do the same thing as you? They've got 80, 100 pounds to lose, and they're a driver. Yeah.
First thing I would say is get out and do something. Whatever it is, get out and do something. Even if you're just walking like a quarter of a mile, you know, whatever it is, do something. Generally, like, I stand up a lot. As much as I can stand up, I'll stand up. So when I'm in a dock getting loaded or unloaded, I'll get out the truck and I'll stand up. And I'll stand up the whole time. Or I'll walk around.
At red lights, are you standing?
Oh, man, if I could. 1 second, guys. I got to sit back down and buckle up. But usually I'll stand and eat. I'll eat when I'll stand up, and I'll eat and stand. And I just try to do things that's not sitting on my butt.
Yeah.
But if I can do it, anybody can do it. I didn't do anything spectacular or special. You know, it's basic stuff that anybody can do. The hardest thing is just trying to find the time. You know, without a schedule, without a routine, is very, very hard. So, you know, you find little things like I do push-ups every day. Mm-hmm. It's just, aside from all the working out and everything else, I'll do push-ups every day. So if I stop to fill up gas, I'll do push-ups right there while I'm fueling up. On my 30 minutes for break, I'll just work out instead of doing whatever else.
Yeah.
Just finding things in that day to be able to do it. And then you have 2 hours at the end of the day. You can walk or run or whatever you want to do, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
You just find the stuff, just find something in your day to do.
Yeah.
And then make it a habit.
I liked how you talked, like, the trails, like finding a trail that you didn't know was there, like, just got you so excited. So it just makes me think, like, when you get started on this, you'll find these little things that you're like, oh, sweet. Like, I found this hidden spot, or like you just have things to like look forward to, or you get more excited about, or.
Yeah. And, it'd be cool because I think I told Cole about the one in Shanahan, because I don't know if anybody knows it. And I was like, you know, put it in the notes or something, like, hey, there's a great trail here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, maybe we should just like start a trail thing. Like, drive whenever you find these trails and these, because like the one that Casey's in Iowa, it's off at 380, and like just out of nowhere, like I walked through town, and then I was like, I'll just take this back road, and it was like half a mile down this back road, or probably not even that, and then all of a sudden there's this trail right there, and I was like, and it's a great trail, it's perfect. And I was like, that's fantastic. And most of the time, you know, back roads. I've walked a lot of back roads. Some are kind of sketchy, you know. Kind of far out there, but you know, you find wherever you can, and you just do it. Just go, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
Whatever. I mean, I've parked on off ramp and on ramps before, and like it's not ideal, and I hate doing them, but you know, Love's is close, so I'll just hit that off ramp. I'll just work out on the side of the road, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be brave enough to do something like that. But.
Yeah, you know, walk behind the truck or on one of the sides of the truck or in front of the truck. You know, you just. And I think, and for me, like a big part, aside from working out in the gym, 'cause I used to work out in the gym where people don't care. You know, you're just the same as everybody else. You're working out, but you know, when you're starting out and you're overweight and you're outside, you know, you're at a rest stop and you're working out, and you know, you might feel like people are looking at you.
Yeah.
You know, it's an oddity, but for me, it took a little bit to be like, you just gotta ignore them. Just push past that. They're looking at you, but what are they gonna do? Come up and say something? No.
Yeah.
So just get it out of your head. You know, you're doing something for you. It doesn't matter. Yeah. If people are looking at you or not. Just do it.
I would just be excited to see that. I would just be like, sweet. Like, I'm so happy that this person's trying to.
Yeah. I mean, I was running in Indiana at one of the rest stops there. And a guy was like, yeah, dude, you know, good job. And then I was doing a workout in Indiana, and a guy walked over and was like, you know, asking like, hey, how do I build up my calves? He's like, I've stopped eating garbage. I'm grilling all my food. And he's like, I've lost weight. And I was like, what? Really? Yeah, like it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while someone will come up and, you know, hey, I'm doing this, this, and this. I see you're doing this, and how do you do this? It's cool. It's pretty cool.
I did cross country in high school because it's a no-cut sport, and I just wanted to do it for some exercise. And you know, there's 4 groups. I'm in a high school of like 4,000 girls, so it was a big team.
Right.
And I get so excited. Because, I was never competing to, like, be number 1 or anything. I was always competing against myself at each race. But it's just so funny because, like, in the culture of cross country, at least in women's, in high school, like, if someone would pass each other, they would, like, whisper with, like, the faintest breath, like, good job, keep going. Because to all of us, it was more so about, like, let's just get our individual best time. Like, unless you're probably like the top 10, then, you know, you're really racing. But the rest of us are just like, I can do this.
Right.
So, I remember there was one time there was just like a big mud pit, and my friend fell in, and it was just like, do I save her or do I? But she got up and kept going. And
oh, no.
But I liked that because it's like we're all running a race, and you know,
but all being like supportive, super supportive.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But
I think dudes would be like way different.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, what are you doing? Too slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have our own kind of motivation, I guess.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Would you like to add anything else before we leave?
I mean, it's really more simple than I think a lot of people make it out to be.
Sure.
You know, just do the best you can, try to eat right, avoid all the sugary garbage, and just get out and move, just do stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And sometimes it just can just be simple. Like sometimes people have to think of like, I got to enroll in this program and do this thing and do that. But if you just kind of...
I think that's the diet fads, and I think that really lends to that. You know, it's like, oh, I got to follow this diet chart. Oh, there's this. Like, there's a new one now where like people are eating like a whole stick of butter a day. Oh, no. It's like a high fat, high protein diet, and I don't know if it's a fad or not. I haven't looked into it, but I'm not eating a whole stick of butter a day. I don't care how good it is for you, but I think people do get into those mind traps.
Yeah.
And like, you know, for me, I didn't follow any kind of diet. I just get out and move. And you know, there's things that you do know, like eating candy bars all day, you know, is not going to be good for you. Yeah. So, but avoid all the mind traps, I would say. Yeah. Just do what works for you. Just, you know, find what works for you. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just make it simple. Just keep it simple. Yeah. The whole KISS method. KISS method. Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Hi, this is Lisa from Recruiting at New Spom, and I'd love to answer any questions you have about driving with us. Give us a call at 309-268-1199 or visit newspomjobs.com. Talk to you soon. You've been listening to Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of New Spom Transportation. If you're enjoying our content, please leave us a review. Your reviews help us spread the word about these important topics and invite more people into conversation. You can rate and review us on your podcast app or visit us online at terminalexchange.org. New episodes arrive every other Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow New Spom on your favorite social media platforms and be the first to know when new episodes are released. Thanks for listening. Until next time, own every moment and stay purpose-driven.